This meeting is now called to order. This is the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting for May 20th, 2026. I am the Vice Chair, Councilmember Shanae Nicole Darby. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. We know that our chair is absent with leave. Councilmember Darby is here. Is Councilmember Nathan Field online? Councilmember Alex Hackett.
Here.
Councilmember McCoy.
Here.
Is Councilmember Kobe Owens online? And then we have Councilmember Christian Wellauer in Chambers.
Here.
And then do we have Councilmember President Congo? All righty. Is there any other council members online that I haven't recognized? No, that's it. No one. All right. As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions and seconding, and we shall proceed to the agenda. We are going to move one piece of resolution to the beginning, which is sponsored by Councilmember Xanthia Oliver. It's a resolution establishing a housing subcommittee of CDUB, of the CDUB Standing Committee. So I'll let it, you speak to it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a resolution authorizing to establish a housing subcommittee as a subcommittee of Wilmington City Council, Community Development, Urban Planning Standing Committee. This subcommittee will provide reports within 180 days of its first meeting to the Community Development, Urban Planning, outlining some key areas of focus on primary recommendations with a final report to be issued within 1 year, proposing legislation, regulations, finding some strategic addresses to address Wilmington housing challenges. As I stated, it will meet quarterly, and this is no different to some other subcommittees. We have UCUP that is ongoing. The subcommittees or just subcommittees, that's what they are. Let me turn this phone off. Wow.
Oh, that's it. All right. I do have a few questions. I know you said they were going to meet every basically quarter, so every 90 days. They have to do a report within 180 days. So can they meet more if they need to in 180 days to come up with the preliminary report?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, that's perfect. I know I definitely am in support of this. I think there's never too many conversations that could happen around housing. And I think this is a perfect time to establish it as we're in the middle of budgeting and we're talking exactly about affordable housing and what that should look like and having negotiations back and forth with the administration. So I'm definitely in support of it. I'm gonna open it up to, I want to recognize Councilmember Kobe Owens. He is here.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hackett, I see that your hand was up.
I want to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, perfect. Councilmember Wellauer.
Yeah, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor too, and I'd just like to echo what you were saying, Chair, that we, getting more people involved in, especially some of the people who are working in the field, working community members who are impacted, organizers, just getting people to talk together and put a plan together. I think this is exactly what could help guide better some of our investments in housing. So this is great. I'm really happy to see this, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Any other council members? Any other comments? I would like to see if there's any public comment. Any? I know one in person, so online maybe. Oh, none. All right, I would like to recognize Councilmember Maria Cabrera, and then I saw your hand up, Councilmember McCoy.
Yes. So my question was, I did see that all 9 members are going to be appointed by the President of City Council. So we are not asking for any other any input at all from the administration.
Let me look at it. I thought it was. No, because it's just a subcommittee for us. No.
Okay.
All righty. Councilmember Owens.
Can I be added as a co-sponsor, please?
Yes. All righty, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. The sponsor, would you like to close out? I know you have an engagement.
Yes. Thank you for individuals who did co-sponsor this. Like you, as you stated, this is a conversation that is a topic in the city of Wilmington. We will talk about this in length at later time.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll move to the next two things on our agenda. I know we have Director Bob Weir, who's here to speak to these two pieces. One is a resolution authorizing the mayor to file a second amendment to the federal fiscal year 2025, city fiscal year 2026 annual action plan with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And then you're speaking to the second one, I'm right, too? Or just the first one? Okay, both, okay. Well, you can.
I was going to say, Madam Chair, it's your pleasure.
Yeah, you can come up. Yeah, we can hop right into it. And the second resolution you're going to speak to is a resolution authorizing the mayor to file with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Planning Development the federal fiscal year 2026 and city fiscal year 2027 annual action plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program, the Home Improvement Investment Partnership Program, the Emergency Solutions Grants Program, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program. So you'll be speaking to those two things. Thank you. It's a presentation.
I have just an opening statement
okay.
for both. So, also, I'd like to introduce Tom Ford. I'm sure everyone knows Tom, but Tom is the Director of Development and Compliance for the Real Estate and Housing Department. As far as to getting started, Madam Chair, thank you. Members of City Council, thank you that are here and that are attending virtually. I would like to speak for just a minute or two about the resolution authorizing the mayor to file a second substantial amendment to our previously filed action plan budget. In February of 26, City Council adopted Resolution 26020, and that approved our first substantial amendment to our federal FY25, our city FY26. That gets everybody confused in as much that the federal government is on a different fiscal year than we are. The amendment that was passed was a standard process for reallocating unused or unbudgeted program income and past year awards, that it aligns with the statutory requirements for the city's annual action plan and the 5-year consolidated plan. So the Department of Real Estate and Housing has prepared a second substantial amendment for our city FY26. This amendment allocates approximately $1.8 million in unused previous year CDBG funds and an estimated $1 million in anticipated CDBG program income. Funding is directed towards activities that maximize the available resources and address priority community needs. When we talk about taking this money that is previous years, the program income, there has been a historic dealing with these funds that we just let them sit in the coffers until we rebudget the following year. This is an attempt to be more responsive. We have resources available. We know the needs in the community outstrip the resources, and we are working hard to make sure that those resources, in reality, dollars, are available to our community. This is proposing that there would be $468,000 for rental rehabilitation, lead hazard control and rehabilitation. That's with our partners at Newcastle County of $250,000. Substantial renovation of a property in West Center City for homeownership. Sidewalk improvements. That's including the removal of lead supply lines in on the Kirkwood Street in the east side of Wilmington. There's $600,000 for day shelter rehabilitation for unhoused population, 600 East 4th Street. And there is also $20,000 for park improvements at Christiana Park. The preparation of the Second Amendment began in March. of this year. The amendment process typically requires 60 days. This was a little bit longer, and that 60 days includes the drafting, the internal review, the public comment, because all the funding that comes through the federal government to the city, no matter what we do, we have to go out for a public comment period, and then, of course, council consideration. This amendment reflects the administration priorities specifically to expand our rental rehabilitation assistance, to increase the lead hazard reduction activities, supporting targeted homeowner rehabilitation, and enhance shelter capacity and services for the unhoused population. The timeline of this amendment, as I mentioned earlier, was extended due to the language issue in the resolution. We actually looked at presenting this earlier in the year, and given the schedule, we had to review it, and we put it back on the scheduling for today's City Council consideration.
All right. Any questions from council members? Councilmember McCoy.
Thank you. I think mine may be a little simpler. Mr. Weir, I didn't get a chance to go through all your attachments. I was just trying to figure out where were you able to locate and which programs actually left this money on the table that you were able to.
It was mostly salaries. The real estate and housing department has shrunk over the years, and we had budgeted salaries, so they became available. There was also situations where, say, for instance, we're doing lead water line replacements. We bid it out when we were planning. We thought it was going to be about $1 million, and it came in less than that, so there was money left over. There was no actual money taken from any awards that were given. This was all previous year money.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Willauer.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't hear you mention Project 44, the street, $1.3 million street improvements on the 900 block and 1000 block of Kirkwood Street.
Yes, that's, I mentioned street improvements on Kirkwood Street. That would include not only the street improvement, but also it starts in taking the lead supply lines out. And then once you do that, then there's curbs, there's street work, there's sidewalks. So that all has to be put back together. And we also added some lighting in that plan also.
And just because it's a lot, like 1.3 million, and the city already has that lead removal grant that they're doing, like tons of other lead removal. And this is just like some really flexible money around housing. I was just curious, like, why not use some of that other money that is available to do lead removal and street repairs and things like that? And this 1.3, you know, how did you decide not to use it on some of the other pressing issues like homelessness, like rental assistance, things like that?
This was part of the improvement in the community that was already invested in. So when we talk about the east side, there was over $20 million that was invested in not only the homeowners that were there, but also as far as new construction and rehab. And it was judged that when there's lead in the lines and the folks that are buying these new houses and or moving into renovated houses are going to be subject to that, this just accelerates the amount of work that can get done in a short period of time, because I'm sure you're aware that high blood levels of lead cannot be repaired. So when you talk about, we looked at it and said, hey, we really need to do what we can as fast as we can there. There's also the situation where when you talk about some of these dollars, there's restrictions. Not some of them, I'm sorry. All of them have restrictions. So as far as when you talk about, say, for instance, the CDBG funds, is that public services, and does that put us over our cap? So there's a consideration of the puzzle that needs to be worked on to take the money that's available with the eligible activities and then have that impact on the community as we try to do the best we can.
Thank you.
Any follow-up? Any other council members who have any questions? All righty. Any public comment? Anyone online? All right. Yes, if Ms. Messick.
Hi. I'm kind of just taken aback by this amendment because, you know, Monday of last week, here you are telling everybody in Christina Park that they need to get out by June 15th. And, you know, we've been in here for meeting after meeting after meeting talking about the insufficient structure and insufficient services down at Christina Park. And now you bring this amendment to committee. And included in that is funding for renovations at Christina Park that you're labeling as, you know, for the homeless, when nobody's going to be there. Nobody's going to be there in 25 days. So how can you say that this money is going towards, you know, supporting the community when no one's going to live there? No one's going to live there unless Mayor Carney is planning on going back on his word last minute. I mean, what are we doing here? I don't understand. We don't need a day center. We don't need any of this. We need shelter. We need a place for people to sleep at night that accepts them, that doesn't evict them. I really need the city to understand the problem. I really need the city to take responsibility for how awful conditions are. I really need John Carney to understand that people in Christina Park, in 25 days, they're going to be in the same disastrous conditions that they are in right now in their life. You can't just tell people to move out in 30 days when they don't even have... Listen, I know he knows. I know he knows. I don't understand this amendment if no one's going to be there anymore. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yes, thank you for your comment. Any other public comment? All right. Would you guys like to have any closing statements about these two? We're going to talk about the next resolution. Oh, that was all together. That was all together, wasn't it? Or no?
Madam Chair, this is just a amendment for the available funds from previous years. The next resolution is about the authorization for the mayor to file
Okay.
the action plan.
You could speak to the next one.
Okay, thank you. So the resolution that we're talking about next would be to authorize the mayor to file the annual action plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program. This is the second year budget of a 5-year federally consolidated plan that was passed by council as part of the FY25 budget. This budget and process follows HUD's approved citizen participation plan submitted as part of the 5-year consolidated plan. As part of the citizens participation plan, the first public notice was advertised in the News Journal on December 29th of 25 and placed on the webpage in the city. The first public meeting series, there was 2, actually one of those is today, was held in person at the City Council chambers on January 15th, with a virtual meeting held that evening at 6 p.m. 15 individuals attended on the morning session and 13 attended on the evening session. An RFP was released on the 29th of December 25, and the response date was due on February 13th. We received a number of applications, 26 CDBG applications, 7 ESG, 4 home, and 3 HOP applications. External applications request totaled $4,864,806, plus city programs, which includes administrative costs, public facilities, infrastructure, so forth and so on. The actual entitlement budget is $3,948,584, and that was received on April 4th from Washington via letter. Submitted RFPs were reviewed and ranked by a committee consisting of representation from Real Estate and Housing, the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, the Housing Alliance of Delaware, Continuum of Care, the Mayor's Office, and City Council. The second Public notice of availability of the plan was advertised on May 1st and on the city's website. As far as the availability, of the draft plan was sent to surrounding communities and interested parties on May 5th. So we've upped our communication with the communities, not only the groups, but individuals, so that they were aware that this was not just through the News Journal or through the website. We actually were active there. Today is our second public meeting to meet the citizen participation plan. The highlights of the awards are $537,832 to be used towards planning and administration. $60,000 is being used to provide public services. $454,297 used to improve public facilities and infrastructure. $1,408,650 will be used to increase access, supply, and quality of housing. $465,784 will be used to provide housing and services to people experiencing homelessness or the risk of homelessness. And there's $1,022,022 that will be used to provide housing and services for persons diagnosed with HIV/AIDS. The attachment that is available with this resolution, the specific awards with names of organizations starts on page 25 and it goes through 29, just for anyone that's looking to be specific about the awards and what projects will be funded. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any comments, questions from council colleagues? Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is from the last item. I just wanted to request the project information for 44, the street improvements on Kirkwood Street. If there's any more details, just after this meeting, if you could provide them before the vote, I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Councilman. So we're looking for the detail of the Kirkwood Street activity?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
That was all I had, Madam Chair.
All right, any other questions? Any council colleagues, any public comments? All righty, any closing statements, comments from you, Dr. Moyer? Councilmember Owens?
Yes. Good evening, Director Ware. I just had a quick question about project number 20 in this. The $25,000 going to Sojourner's Place, is there a reason why that is capped at $25,000? It's page 35.
Thank you. My initial response would be no, that we are not, statutorily, we cannot award more than what's been requested.
Okay.
And what happens is that the funding is relatively stable. I mean, that we make it a little bit more this year, a little bit less next year. And of course, the next year question is still a big question, you know, what's going to happen in Washington. And what happens is that if we look at what we have as far as available to us and we look at what was requested and we say, oh, we want to do something different, we want to do something new, well, the impact that might have on this particular organization might be that they have to lose a staff person or they have to reduce services or so forth and so on. So it really is a puzzle when you talk about does our $25,000 at that point, they requested it, and does that really allow for them to do what they do? So, you know, whenever we can move it up, we do. But as far as statutorily, we can't say we have $37,000 for you, but you only asked for 25. But when you talk about the puzzle piece of this, is that you have established organizations that if they are cut in their funding, it can have a serious impact on the services and for a longer time than just a year. So we look to support these organizations at what they've asked us for, and to try to keep, when we monitor what they do, this annual report that we generate talks about how many people have been assisted through that organization and what that money means to them.
All right. Okay, you good? Councilmember McCoy?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to know, Director, where did any of the council actually participate in reading the grants and giving you information from these organizations?
Yes, Councilmember Harley was part of that review.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
I'm sorry, I was just following because just with a comment. This is, I've actually done this twice. This is extensive.
Thank you.
And when it comes to the ask, actually a lot of times they're asking for way more than we can actually give, as long as we're making certain that we don't cut it below than what they normally have, so that they can still, take care of business. But yeah, and still also trying to make certain that you accommodate everyone who normally does send in grant information. So this is a really extensive list.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time going through the stuff.
And there are, the service organizations generally have a lot of history, and so they are always combining resources and grant, but we also see a lot of times when folks come in for construction projects that their application is 100% looking at city funding. So when we talk, so I absolutely want to agree with you that this is an extensive process, and there is a lot of thought that goes into being compliant and serving the needs of the community as defined by the community.
If I make another comment?
Yes.
So I do think this is actually very important that more of our council members have an understanding about this part of things, and if the finance chair is willing to be able to give that opportunity to different council members.
Perfect.
Okay.
Nobody's smarter than everybody. I also have it's kind of long, but as far as, because this program has many, many pieces, but I do have a slide deck that I could make available to City Council. That's what we use when we go out to the public and get to the community, but I can make that available. That might also be a tool.
Perfect.
All righty. Well, thank you for presenting on these two pieces of resolution. Do we know when they'll be at the next, which council meeting? Do we know?
June 4th?
This is June 4th, too?
It's June.
Okay, so
Yes.
I believe it's
June
on the June
4th for
4th
these
agenda.
two pieces of resolution, and also for Councilmember Oliver's resolution, it's also June 4th. But yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move to the last piece on the agenda, which is a ordinance number 26-032, or ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of the City Code to create a landlord engagement advisory board. I am the sponsor for this piece of legislation. So just to give a little bit of background, in my first council term, I applied for the City of Wilmington to be a part of the National Leagues of Cities Landlord Engagement Lab. We were one of the cities that were selected. They brought together cities across the country to kind of talk about new strategies to improve landlord-tenant relationships and strengthening rental housing stability. I don't think we can have the conversation. We talk a lot about creating affordable housing, but we also need to have the conversations about how do we sustain what we have and make it better, right? And I think landlords have to be a part of that conversation. And a lot of times we paint landlords as like they're the big boogeyman in the room. And a lot of times there are small landlords who are really driving the city, who are really providing these houses for rent for residents and tenants. And some of them just need assistance, need better service from our government, right? Just to make it easier for them to be able to conduct the business that they're conducting, which then translate to a better living condition for renters. Before I do talk about what this landlord engagement advisory board would look like, I do want to say, one, Councilmember Christian Willauer, she as a citizen before she was a council person served on the board. We had landlords, we had tenants, property managers who were on there, and we met a few times to come up with our landlord strategy. And I presented some of them, which was to create an online rental registry where it will allow landlords and even some renters to access it for it to make it easier to register properties in the city. We also talked about providing landlord education on available programs and resources, and I've been working with Councilmember Cabrera on that one. And then also we've been working on creating a loan grant program for landlords to address code violations. So that's in the works. And then another part of the plan was to make the landlord engagement lab a permanent thing where we have an advisory board for city council and for the administration and LNI to work with to troubleshoot, to come up with new ideas, and to make sure that all of our departments are having or just talking about how we can do better at providing services to our landlords, which impacts our renters. Three other things that we wanted to look at too in the landlord engagement lab was residential application, pre-occupancy inspections, and parking permits for landlords. But this specific part of this landlord strategy is making what we did, for about 2 years? We had the Landlord Engagement Lab under the National League of Cities. That program ended, and I believe the conversation should continue. And that's what this legislation does. It makes it a permanent piece of commission, advisory board to be able to assist the city. So I'll open it up to my council colleagues on any questions that they have or concerns. All right, no questions. Oh, Councilmember Willard, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, no, this is great to see. It has in here a lot of things that, when we were doing the Landlord Engagement Lab, there were cities all over the country that were part of that lab. And, some of them were doing this already, and they had this working relationship between the landlords and the code enforcement. And they said, and then when you did those landlord town halls, they all said more communication would be good. And my only feedback would be that it's kind of complex, like how it's set up, and Councilwoman Oliver's task force was just a lot simpler. So, but it could work. And I think it creates a way for landlords to open up that communication. So, yeah, no, it's great. And I just wonder if you might consider simplifying the terms and things like that. But it's not a huge deal.
Yes, thank you. I am open to that. Before legislation, I try to reach out to people and let them know. But so that is going. Oh, Councilmember Cabrera.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for chairing the meeting. I definitely think this is good legislation as we're really trying to get a handle on it's not just having affordable rentals and housing, but also having responsible landlords and making sure they also have the resources so that we can have responsible business owners and that our renters don't suffer some of the repercussions that we see when they're not in safe housing. So all of this works hand in hand in improving our housing laws. Definitely add me as a co-sponsor as we are working on multiple projects to improve this process when it comes to the topic of housing. I don't disagree with Councilmember Willauer. Sometimes we just got to keep it simple, so it's a little bit more user friendly. But either way, flexible. Those are minor things that we can work on together before the final product hits City Council. But just want to say that I'm in full support. And as we may have our differences on certain topics, but we find the common ground that we can work on for the betterment of our city and for our constituents. And I'm glad to be a part of this legislation and working together with you and the others. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Caber. And of course, I've always been open. Just reach out, anybody. So, any other council comments? Councilmember McCoy.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to get a little bit of information. You stated that the NLC task force that y'all had actually ended. When did it complete? Like, how long did you have it?
I feel like it was for 2 years that we were meeting, Councilmember Willauer.
Something like that.
Like to like maybe 2024 ended or something, or?
Yeah, it probably ended in 2024.
Okay.
Or 18 months, maybe.
It was for 18 months. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't, yeah. Alrighty, any public comments? Alrighty, so all of the pieces of resolution and ordinances tonight will be on the June 4th council meeting. I am looking to adjourn, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried.